My girlfriend believes my lies about traveling the world for 2 years, but she's fixated on the one town where the truth is buried. I told everyone I spent 2 years traveling through Southeast Asia, finding myself after college, when really I was serving time in prison for something horrible. When I got released, I moved to the city where nobody knew my history, and it was easy to disappear into the crowd. In a desperate attempt to hide what I'd done, I created fake social media posts, dated from those 2 years using stock photos from Thailand and Vietnam, and borrowed stories from travel blogs about teaching English abroad and learning to meditate at temples. When I met Charlotte at a coffee shop 11 months ago, and she asked about the gap in my resume, the lie rolled off my tongue so naturally that I almost believed it myself. She was fascinated by my stories of monsoon seasons and mountain temples, and kept saying how brave I was to just drop everything and explore the world. Charlotte had become obsessed with this town 2 hours north. She'd bring it up constantly, showing me Instagram posts of antique shops, talking about some famous pie place. Last month, she wanted to go for her birthday, and I faked a work emergency. That was the town where I hit someone 3 years ago, drunk after a friend's wedding, right by the gas station. Charlotte's behavior had been getting weirder too. She carried a photo in her wallet she'd hide from me, snapping it shut if I got too close. At night, she'd trace circles on my chest and ask me questions like whether people could really change, what I'd do if someone I loved had done something unforgivable. The questions felt loaded, desperate even. When I said love meant accepting someone's past, she laughed in this bitter way that made my skin cold. I told myself she had trauma I didn't know about. Maybe she'd lost someone, the way she'd go silent sometimes, staring at nothing. But I was too busy maintaining my own lies to dig into hers. Then Charlotte's mom called while Charlotte was in the shower, and I answered her phone without thinking. Her mom said something about hoping this trip wouldn't be too hard for Charlotte, and that visiting the memorial got easier with time. But Charlotte needed to stop going every single month because it wasn't healthy to stay that angry. When Charlotte came out, I told her that her mom called about dinner plans and nothing else, but she studied my face for a long moment before taking the phone. Then 2 later, Charlotte said she booked us a bed and breakfast in that town for that weekend, and that it was really important to her that we went together. Her hands were shaking slightly when she showed me the reservation confirmation, and when I suggested maybe going somewhere else instead, she just said, "Please," in this broken voice that made it impossible to refuse anymore. The drive took 4 hours, and I spent every mile feeling like I might throw up while Charlotte played music and pointed out scenery, but her usual chatter had this forced quality to it. My shirt stuck to my back with sweat, even though she had the AC blasting, and every time she reached over to touch my hand, I flinched without meaning to. She kept checking her phone's GPS like she was afraid we'd miss the exit, even though she'd clearly memorized the route. When we passed the town limit sign, my whole body went rigid, and Charlotte noticed immediately asking if I was carsick, but I just blamed it on the winding roads. The familiar landmarks started appearing like accusations from my past, including the diner where I'd had coffee the morning after my arrest, and the courthouse where they'd sentenced me. As we drove down the route toward the antique district, I saw the white cross with faded artificial flowers by the gas station, and my hands locked onto the steering wheel so tight, my knuckles went white. Charlotte got quiet and stared at the memorial before asking me to pull over because she needed to stretch her legs, even though we'd stopped 20 minutes ago. I parked at the gas station, and the same attendant from 3 years ago was working the register, but I couldn't tell if he recognized me through the windshield. Charlotte got out, but instead of going inside, she walked straight toward the memorial and knelt down to fix the flowers that had fallen over. She stayed there for a full minute just touching the cross, while I sat frozen in the driver's seat, knowing I should run, but unable to move because my legs felt like water. Without turning around, Charlotte said, "You gonna sit in the car all day?" And her voice had this deadly calm quality that made my stomach drop. Then she finally looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said, "I know you're the one who did it. I've known for 8 months, and I kept hoping you would tell me yourself, but you never did." She stood up slowly and walked closer to the car window. "The really sick part is that I came looking for you to destroy you, but then I actually fell in love with you, and now I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with that." She told me Oliver was 26 when I killed him. Then she got back in the car, and we drove home in complete silence. We haven't talked about that day since, but she still sleeps in our bed. Last week she asked me to tell her a real story from Thailand, and I didn't know what to say.